Welcome back, viewers. So let's just dive into our last panel discussion of this track session on the topic of building and deploying e-commerce experiences today and tomorrow. What are some concerns, best practices, and success stories? For which I would like to welcome Mr. Utkarsh B, Chief Architect, Flipkart, Mr. Vivek Kant, Chief Technology Officer, Finserv Market, Mr. Charlie Russell, Senior Product Marketing Manager, Limelight Networks. As he will be moderating the session, so I would like to hand over the session to him. A very warm welcome to you all. Over to you, sir.
Utkarsh and Vivek, I think this is going to be a great discussion today and look forward to it. And with that, I guess the first thing I'd like to do is just sort of do a quick, why don't you, if the two of you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your companies and your perspectives on e-commerce.
Great. Thanks for hosting us. I think it's a pleasure, and we are going to have an exciting conversation ahead. So I'm Utkarsh, Chief Architect of Flipkart. Have spent more than a decade here, so one of the very old timers. I think most of us are very well aware about Flipkart.com. It's a homegrown e-commerce innovator, and I think we always delight ourselves in elevating customer experiences, and at the back of it is a lot of premium technology interventions that we have evolved over a period of time and actively invested on. And the way we look at ourselves is we want to continue redefining and making e-commerce a very relatable, a pleasure experience for end consumers, regardless of where they are and what kind of a background they are, with complete inclusion. So that's in a brief about us.
Very good. Vivek, would you like to introduce yourself and Finserv Markets?
Sure, Charlie. Hi, my name is Vivek Kant. I'm Chief Technology Officer for Finserv Markets, and we are part of a larger Bajaj Finserv group, which is India's one of the largest financial services conglomerate. Now, the obvious question is, what are we doing in e-commerce? So we run a e-commerce venture called EMI Store, which enables customers to buy electronics, consumer durables, and other lifestyle goods on EMI card, which is our own payment instrument. And we connect with a very large number of local dealers, which are the fulfillment partners for us, and we run the site. We enable them to sell their products digitally on our EMI card instrument. So this site has been pretty much in last a year seen significant growth, and especially with e-commerce getting the traction in the overall Indian ecosystem, and we have grown by leaps and bounds, and we believe that we can provide consumers the affordability, and more importantly, we can provide our large franchisee of dealers, which includes from very large national distribution outlets to small dealers in small cities, an ability to put their shop online and participate in the great e-commerce revolution that we see in the country.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you, gents. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself and Limelight. My name is Charlie Russell, and I have been with Limelight Networks for a few years. And recently, Limelight had this very exciting acquisition of a company called Layer Zero. And Layer Zero is great for e-commerce. In fact, e-commerce websites have been able to reduce their load time from 5 seconds to 0.5 seconds, literally 500 milliseconds or less, through some innovative technologies. And so it is layerzero.co. If you want to go to layerzero.co, you can check it out. A web development platform that also has some amazing speed improvements. And, in the world of e-commerce, speed is very, very important. So we're very excited to be able to sort of learn more about what's going on with e-commerce in India. And with that, why don't we start with our first question? I've got a few questions that I'm looking forward to asking you guys, and I'm sure our audience is looking forward to hearing your answers. So I guess the first thing, let me ask a question that I may ask ask both of you to answer some questions or point a specific question to one of you. This one, I would love to hear kind of what both of you think of this question. And the question is, future technical trends. What future technical trends do you think will have a big impact on the way people conduct e-commerce online? Utkarsh, why don't we start with you? Do you have a thought on future technical trends?
Yeah, absolutely. I can take a stab at it because I think that's a bread and butter to us. First of all, before I describe my perspective on what I believe are the future technical trends that will drive, commerce online, um, I would want to take a few seconds to describe the characterization of e-commerce in the landscape that we operate, which is India. I think the last couple of years, facing the world in difficult times with pandemic around us, I think more and more people have started coming online, getting comfortable with the online shopping channels, because what they were looking for is safer and convenient delivery options, at the comfort of their homes, and which is probably the big thing that probably is driving a large online adoption even more than ever before. And especially about India, the way I see it is India is not just one India, if I look at it, it's a composition of many Indias, so many different languages being spoken, 22 scheduled languages, 19,000 plus local dialects, right? And very diverse expansive geography, and a lot of economic and social realities also blend in terms of influencing the behavior of the end consumers. Now if you take all of it together, because technical trends have to actually align to the right needs that we are serving. For me, I think two or three trends will sharply stand out, because I did touch upon diversity of the needs of the end consumers, and their personas themselves are pretty diverse. I would believe that AI based personalization would be one of the sharper technology trends. It has been around. I mean, it's not that AI based personalization is something new, but I still believe as a technologist we are still scratching the surface, and we have a lot more to do. It's not just personalizing for you. I think it's the word that I prefer to use is contextualization, right? And personalization has so many cohorts to it. I want to look at your geo distribution. I want to look at your economic background. I want to look at the social fabric under which you are operating. I want to look at what is the dialect in which you are more comfortable, interfacing with an online platform, which means that I would want to bring the world to you in a language and in an interface that relates to you a lot more, because that is what real world shopping is all about. And I think that is where we would want to leverage true AI based personalization in its best avatar. And there would also be a time sensitivity to it, right? It's not that I can statically reflect upon your persona and say that every time you come in I'll throw in the same kind of an experience to you. The shopping sometimes is also backed by a lot of temporality, right? There's a short term affinity to your intent. Can I capture in a quick time what is your intent, what is your affinity in this time and here and now, and then typecast or personalize the experience around you. I think in a nutshell this is all that I would feel is really important and sharper indexation that we need to bring about. But I'd also caution saying that we should not also overdo personalization. Human nature by its mindset is also quite engaged in constant explorations and discovering something new. So leave a small door open as you are personalizing his or her experiences, to also leave open doors for him or her to explore the plethora of offerings that, for example, we have on Flipkart. I think that is one very sharp trend that I would definitely want to see. And if I have to quickly talk about two more, very briefly, is I think related to what I talked about, maybe I touched upon it very fleetingly. We need to contextualize interfaces. One size doesn't fit all, right? So, we have been using a lot of text, a lot of images, now videos, right? We need to, probably take multiple leaps ahead we talk about metaverse in today's world, right? Probably a mixed reality will also make the shopping experience a lot more relatable and almost real world like, right? I think many of the e-commerce firms will need to probably index a lot more heavily around it, and that is a technology trend that probably will see a lot more of experimentation, explorations before it lands in the next couple of years. Right, so that I think is also one of the trends that I'm looking at. And last but not least, I think what we have also seen in the last 2-3 years is the role of platforms that we build in cognizance with the security posture of it, right? Cyber security trends, that the way we have seen it emerge around us, security and protecting the privacy of the end consumer and the data that they um, you know uh, interest on with us, right? I think security needs to be design first thinking, security first kind of platform building has to be out there, respect digital privacy, and whatever you shape around a consumer, blend in a secure experience around it, right? So I think in a nutshell, these are the three probably trends that I would probably feel are going to be very, very relatable and relevant for all of us.
All right, great. Vivek, what's on your mind?
So interestingly, actually, two of the trends that I believe will be important for e-commerce as we move forward are out of three. Two is what I believe as well are very, very important, and I think very aligned with Utkarsh's point of view. So I think, but I'll put it in my context. Channel technologies or channel interfaces is the one major trend that I see changing significantly, because what has happened is in last couple of years we have got our customers online, and we give them predominantly a mobile or a web interface, and it's textual and image based. So what would happen, and the trend I see happening is it will become a lot more interactive. So today the interaction is pretty much dependent on a customer taking certain actions and browsing or clicking certain hyperlinks, images, videos, etc. That will become much more interactive. So it will and it will become much more contextual to our customer. Now, from our perspective, where we sit, because most of our customers are looking for a large uh, price purchase, and because we deal with financing and mostly consumer durables and electronics, which are reasonably high priced. So one of the areas that we believe providing interfaces where they can make right choices, because helping them to make the buying decision online is something which is very important. So we need to provide the interfaces which enables them to make the buying decisions. So whether it's reviews, whether it's rating, whether it's pictures, whether it's specifications, whether it's questions. So have a much more interactive session with a customer, where it is equivalent to him walking in a store and talking to a agent, to a salesperson, and who understands their need and provides the information in the context. So we want to bring the similar experience that a customer has in store to the digital channel, and that is where we see a lot of technology work will happen in as we go along. Second area, of course, is personalization, but I would put personalization as a little more different context. So personalization, of course, we're trying to show products that we believe customers would want to see, would want to buy. But I think again, our focus more has to be helping customer making a decision, because a customer is coming on our platform with a need which is mostly unstated need, and we need to be able to provide him the right information and a guidance to help him fulfill the need on our platform. And that is where data and AI comes into play. We know, because a lot of our customers are not just e-commerce customers. They are the customers who have a EMI card from us. They have other financial instruments with us. We provide a lot of our customers help with managing their finances. Now there we can provide a lot more contextual help to help customer buy things, and to bring both commerce and financial services together, where a customer is able to save for a particular goal in mind. So if he wants a particular goal, consumer durable or object, he can save, or we can help customer make the right decision, whether he should, how much he should pay upfront, how much he should pay later we provide an interest free EMI, so how much he should pay later. All of that based on customers financial standing, what his needs, what his goals are, and more provide a advisory capability to our customer using the data we have, using various AI. But AI is today very significantly overhyped, so I would say we'll build the right technology which we can bring to the customer to help them make the right decisions which are for them. Now, another very important point which Utkarsh mentioned is a lot of our humans want to explore. So again, important thing is for them to be able to explore, just so that they just to increase their understanding, their knowledge, and if they make a buying decisions, right. But otherwise, provide them all the information that can satisfy their desire to look at products, look at lifestyle items, look at consumer durables which they want to purchase, if not today, in future. So those are the two major trends I also see shaping up e-commerce as we go forward.
All right, very good. I'll just tell you quickly from my perspective, one trend that we're seeing is that the way websites are built to be made much easier. Today, it's often that what people have to do to build an advanced website is to stitch together many what you call cloud primitives from some of the large cloud providers, or to just sort of take or leave a platform. But we're seeing a trend in the middle to sort of get those outcomes, get the exact outcomes you want instead of having to build it all from scratch. So there's a lot of technical trends coming our way. So Utkarsh, I have another question for you, which is, okay, we talked about the envisioning the future of e-commerce. How about initiatives today? What initiatives are you taking to make it frictionless, experiential, available to everyone everywhere?
Yeah, so I think probably extending some of the thought, because I think it's pretty coherent to the first narrative that we just shared. I think technology needs to be a lot more inclusive, humane, if I use that word, because when we talk about initiatives that are going to make the experience frictionless, a lot more experiential and available to everyone, it just means that we are leveraging technology to make all our offerings very humane, right? That's a humanization of technology, if I use that phrase, right? And that is actually the trend that we are seeing, right? The e-commerce is no longer a boxed construct where it is only for a privileged few, and even for us, right? We see that option going from tier 1, tier 2, now tier 3 and beyond, right? And many of these consumers have not even probably visited a shopping mall. They don't know probably the semantics of an add to cart, right? The language that they speak that masses is very different. Their dialects are different, right? And how do we complement their speak, their context in terms of the experience that we deliver to them? That I think is really fundamental in terms of making all our offerings absolutely frictionless and experiential. And I think the first and foremost thing that we have delved into is providing a regional language interface. And our studies, and it's not just theoretical studies, we did experience it, that the next wave of India's internet users prefer voice search. They prefer vernacular based user interfaces, right? Now this, if you blend in the diversity that India brings to the table, the requirements become very, very nuantic, right? Today, and hence in the last couple of years, what we have done is we started with supporting Hindi language interface on our app, and that was in 2019. And today we have accelerated, and we support 11 regional languages interfaced through our app. And we see that probably some of the languages are more proliferated than the others. And also, to state few more facts, right? Among the 11 Indian languages that people speak, probably Hindi, Tamil, Telugu and Bengali are the most widely used languages, right? And we have seen that user base grow almost 2x over the past 1 year itself. and many other languages like Bengali, Malayalam are also seeing rapid adoption in terms of the user interface. So all of it is where our telltale signs that we need to contextualize the interface that is present to the end consumers. And we spent a lot of our technology capabilities in blending voice as a natural construct and extension to our interface, and also blend in some of the capabilities which are very very nuancing to us, right? I'm not sure of rest of the world, but in India we tend to use lot many colloquial commands, right? And we also blend two languages together, right? For example, people freely blend Hindi and English, and we call it Hinglish, right? And so how do we capture all of these language centric nuances and make the interfaces really appealable, relatable? And there's a lot of technology behind the scenes, right? The amount of translation that we need to do at scale cannot come with manual intervention, right? So we had to invest in large scale technology ecosystems that will do an auto translation, right? And to the tune of, if I remember correctly, about 5.4 million words in a day is what we were translating at peak. So those are the kind of investments that we had to make. And probably one more quick aspect that I would want to cover, and probably along the same lines, is also there is this human tendency to make everything relatable, right? So uh, what e-commerce was all about so far was looking at that interface and imagining, right?
Mhm.
This is the furniture that I would want to buy. Let me imagine how it would look in this room of mine, right? So I think the current trend is also about transitioning, taking a leap from that imaginary world to an experiential world, right? Can you enable through your interface end consumer to not just imagine but also experience it in his surrounding? And that's where probably augmented realities, etc., come to the forefront. And in the last couple of years, more so than ever, they just TikTok generation that has come to the fore, and they love to dabble with these augmented realities, filters, and so on, right? So I think augmented reality is something that we have made active investment on. We launched an immersive Flipkart camera in July 2021, and this is very relevant for categories like furniture, luggage, large appliances. You can practically visualize it in the context of where you want to place it in your world, right? World around you. And to that effect, we announced a partnership with Snap Incorporated, to expand our AR e-commerce experience. And that is the natural synergy that we could see with Snap, and it really helped us to do that happy marriage and bring the real world closer to the consumers and make them more informed about the purchase. And other quick thing that we are dabbling with is interactive shopping via video or live commerce, right? With almost 400 million users today actively and engrossed in video watching, I think it's a preferred medium for everyone, right? Can we get lot many of these creators to come and create these videos and live commerce construct on a platform, and that will enable a very enriched experience to the end shopper. And I believe truly that the true power of AR VR will come out when content creation becomes a lot more commodity. Any one of us can go ahead and create that content, right? And I think that is something that we would also want to almost be at the cutting edge and keep on working towards it. And probably those are the initiatives that we are taking to make the entire experience to be very very frictionless and relatable, in a
Great.
nutshell.
Okay, thank you. So Vivek, my next question is for you, and I think it's interesting to think about what a platform means for you. So the question is, so what challenges do you face in building a platform for supporting e-commerce in India today? But it almost feels to me like for you a two-part question. So first of all, what does a platform mean? Because it's partly B2C, but it's also partly supporting the retailer that you are supporting. And then what are some of the challenges? I'm in guessing. And so what does a platform mean to you? And what are some of the challenges you face in building a platform?
So, Charlie, challenges primarily, as you rightly said, firstly, what platform means to us is a platform that enables uh, e-commerce experience for our customers, and on the same side hand, it delivers digital capabilities to our large retail franchisee. So we have more than 20,000 retail outlets who are part of our platform. So our platform brings these two together, and we believe we are the enabler which brings these physical retailers onto digital platform and bring customers who can buy from these retailers. Now, from a challenge perspective, I think the first challenge that these 20,000 retailers are spread around various cities, and they are the digital world is new to them. They are not used to building a single page website where they can host their logo, their contact details, and about them itself is a mammoth task for them. It's not easy for them. So giving them the right digital tools and making it easy for them, and including, as Utkarsh mentioned, regional languages, because a lot of these retailers, they have challenges with using English language as well. They are very their commerce, most of their work, most of their business is done in regional languages. How do you enable these people and give them the digital tools? So simple digital tools like uploading their catalog, what they want to sell, their prices, managing inventory, you know looking at the orders, doing the updating the delivery statuses, and all of that. Now what we do is our platform provides all these digital tools to these retailers, and we make these retailers very prominent on our site, so they are not hidden somewhere. We make it very clear that our customers, we are enabling our customers to buy from these retailers. They are not buying it from us. We are a finance company. We provide financing options. We enable them for a payment for a purchase, but they buy from a retailer, and they can choose the retailers, and we keep the affinity between a particular choice of a retailer and a customer as well. So while we use the geolocation and proximity to identify the nearest retailers, we give them the option that these are the retailers, and we let the customers choose. So we want to build the relationship or strengthen the relationship that a retailer has with their customers, and our platform becomes the conduit. Now making those retailers become digitally enabled is a challenge for us, and technology is a medium to address the challenge, but that is a large challenge for us. And we have a large field force which will help them understand how the digital platform is to be operated, how they can manage their day-to-day interactions with the platform with regards to customer full order fulfillment. And also we want to bring them into the digital age, and that is where a lot of our investments, a lot of our focus is going on in next year or so. While not to absolutely say that we have to focus on the customers as well, and all of what Utkarsh mentioned, whether it's augmented reality for certain categories, whether it's things like delivering a more consistent experience, whether bringing the context, all of that remains valid. But a significant focus will go towards digitally enabling these large franchisee on our platform, and that I think we'll be focusing on in the near term.
All right. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun and a lot of work. All right. Let's see. Thank you so much. Utkarsh, I have another question for you. Would you like to share some of your best practices and or success stories in what you've been doing over the recent times? Best practices or success stories?
Got it. Yeah, absolutely. So before I probably answer it pointedly, let me phrase the common underlying meta theme behind many of our best practices and success stories. I think the first important aspect is the focus always has to be on applied innovations. Um, and all of this has to be backed by or led by technology, because the way we evolve and the scale at which we evolve is almost planet scale, right? So nothing that we do cannot be without a very tech first kind of a mindset. And second part of it will be all these innovations have to be within the context um, of which problem space that you are in. indigenous, relevant to the Indian consumers, and so on, right? Because what we see around us is very different. So I think if I keep these two as meta manifesto, the rest of the best practices and success stories probably just fall in line. And then I'll let me now come to the point that probably success stories around it. So extending on the kind of conversation that we have had so far, customers need to be very, very confident, right, before they buy. There is some kind of a decision making going on in their head. They are prioritizing and so on, right? Prioritizing basis certain decision making pivots in their head. So how do we make these purchasing decisions seamless, with personalization, with the right interfaces, right enriched information coming to the fore, and so on? I think all of that has been a significant enabler in bits and pieces. But I would want to probably touch upon one sharp success story, and which is probably a recent addition. Flipkart has been around for a real long time, but some of the innovations that we have brought through in the last couple of years, I think those are really progressive as per me, to elevate customer experiences and make it a lot more inclusive. And that is this entire world of voice based search. We introduced voice assistant capabilities, and which also is not just doing the commoditized version of text to speech and speech to text kind of a conversion. It actually makes it very indigenous, right? The innovation is very indigenous. Like I talked about earlier, that there are colloquial commands that people may utter as an end consumer, depending on their ethnicity, their background, and so on. Right? They mix Hindi, English, Malayalam, Telugu all together in a sentence, and how do you blend all of it and still make the voice search almost as human as possible? So we invested in that kind of capability. We actually introduced, I mean, though there was AI engine at the forefront, all the while, we introduced a voice first conversational AI platform, and it was completely developed in house, and
Wow.
it blended all the constructs of speech recognition, natural language understanding, machine translation, text to speech for Indian languages, and like I said, colloquial mix of everything coming together. And it is already beginning to reap in a lot of real rewards to us, right? These solutions are already capable of understanding a lot many dialects, and contextualize it in the parlance of the transaction pattern that is playing out between the interface, the platform, and the end consumer. um, and it has seen a lot of adoption. I think I was pretty amazed with the adoption rate that we saw. It has already received probably 3 million, at peak we have received 3 million daily queries in the last year. Tier 3 plus cities, which I talked about in terms of inclusion, I think tier 3 plus cities are actually adopting it a lot more. More than half of these 3 million daily queries are coming from that user cohort. And cities like Patna, Surat, Bhagalpur, when we try to stack rank which are the top cities from which we are seeing this voice search blended with vernacular, these were the cities that were coming to the forefront. So I think this truly amazed me, and actually felt really gratified that a tech first mindset, understanding the end consumer needs, is actually beginning to reap in rewards. Not just it's not a business reward, it's just a gratification to see how relatable we are becoming to the masses out there, right? And about 95% of the consumer cohort, which actually started with a vernacular experience on a platform, are still continuing with it, right? They are not giving it up. I mean, if it was a half-baked capability, they would say, okay, this doesn't work as well, let me go to the English kind of a textual representation of the website, right? Which it's not the case. 95% of people have stuck to that kind of a
Wow.
capability usage. So I think that has really helped us, and for me that is one of the great success stories, and a true reflection of a tech first mindset, and a tech first mindset which also takes in the need to innovate indigenously, right? And the other part that I already covered was our partnership with Snap Incorporated, right? Trying to see where is a happy marriage, right? And you do not need to be a master of every craftsmanship, right? See how you can augment your capabilities with something else that the world has, uh, enter into a strategic partnership and make it work. So Snapchat's camera kit is now deeply integrated into Flipkart app as a lens. So that is giving a very relatable experience for people trying to buy a furniture or a grocery and so on, right? So I think in a nutshell, these are a couple of success stories which I feel gratified by, and many more to go, I guess.
Very good. Well, that's exciting. All right, so Vivek, next question is for you. Digitization is changing customers' behavior. How do you ensure continuity and resilience for a better customer experience?
Yeah, so I think that's a very, very pertinent question. And just to put in context, we have a very small e-commerce team sitting in a large financial services, organization, and what we are, trying to deliver is a experience which is consistent to the best in e-commerce, and which is not easy, as everybody, as you were mentioning. So one of the focus has been, and because the consumers do not care that whether you have a small team, whether you are a large team, whether you are a multinational, whether you are an Indian company, they expect now exactly the same performance, same experiences as they are used to. So in internet, in a way, is that level playing field where you have to do as well as anybody. A small fish has to do as good as a giant, if they have to make a mark. And technology, to some extent, is that makes it much more equitable and equal playing field. So one of the areas we have been focusing on improving the whole e-commerce performance, so that we can deliver a better consumer experience. So whether it's the page performance, load times, uh, uh, our pricing is very complex because of whole financing aspect of it, and customers credit profile and other things. So building that in real time, so that we can give them approval decisions and all of that almost instantaneously, a few milliseconds, is a important investment we have made. That is one area we have done reasonably well. And it's complex because we are making a credit decision in real time, where we are approving a person's a large purchase, and with the interest free EMI option. So that is one area that we have been constantly focusing, and it's a performance and engineering challenge which we take head on. And of course, some of the areas you mentioned, sub-second performance, is where we are exploring new technologies. Of course, we use the CDNs and other acceleration options. But how do we take it beyond that? How do we enable use edge computing to deliver a better experience to the customer, leverage more native mobile app capabilities for a better experience? So all of these areas we are doing, which of course customer will expect from any player in e-commerce today. The other area that we are focusing was, how do we deliver new features and new capabilities as we go along. And there was a time we would be happy take hours time somewhere middle in the night and do new releases. Now last 2 years we have significantly grown the volume, and customers are even making purchases in the middle of the night, and business does not wants to have absolutely 24/7. So bring in the technologies that will enable us to release new features, new capabilities without even a minute of a downtime. And that is another challenge of and of course 24/7 availability is something that we are expecting now for us to deliver. So that's two areas: performance and resilience, that we believe customers would expect from any site, and irrespective how big we are or small we are, we have to deliver to them.
Fascinating. Yeah. It's interesting. One of the ways that this Layer Zero company that I told you about, this layerzero.co, is handling sub-second speed, is by not only caching dynamic content, which really puts the edge right in the control of the person who's building the website, but also something called predictive prefetch. With predictive prefetch, the person who's building the site can actually decide, I want to push this into the user's device before they even press the button. If they expect this is something this person's going to be very interested in, I expect them to press it, But I know that if they press that button, it might take 3 seconds or 4 seconds or 5 seconds to load. If you have predictive prefetch, it's already in the device, in the browser, in the person's hand. And so they press the button and it's there in 399 milliseconds or so. So there are a lot of very cool technologies in terms of making things super fast. And yeah, so it's a pretty amazing time. Well, guys, we have a few more minutes. There's one question that I'd love to wrap with and get both of your thoughts on this. Would you like to tell us about your e-commerce business model, and what are your strategies to grow the segment, and how are collaborations helping you here? So let's see. Vivek, you want to start this time?
So as I explained, our business model is a little different. So we are a hyper local e-commerce platform, and we bring the consumers and retailers together. So our business model as we go along is both ways. So we would want to increase the participation in the platform. So our Bajaj Finance has a significant franchisee. So if you walk into even a tier 2, tier 3 cities, you can find a person, or the retailer himself will give you an option of financing through Bajaj Finance any large purchase that you make. So we want to increase the platform participation of that franchisee. So from some 20,000 dealers that we have to more than 85,000 dealers over a year's time, and as we go along, and especially this is where tier 3 or tier 4 cities even come into play. So that's one major growth. And of course, to grow the customer base as we go along, we also want to, today our entire model is completely built on financing options. How do we make it much more dynamic for a customer to have multiple payment options, multiple abilities to buy certain things that he wants, and that's one area that we will continue to grow. So this is another area which we are exploring, and I think is how do we merge the whole offline online experience. So because a lot of customers also walk into our store, so how do we enable them to use our website even while in store. So that's another area that we want to expand as we go along.
All right, great, interesting. Vikash, sorry about that. Vikash, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I think for us, I think on one hand we have the end consumers for which we try to get the most elevated experiences closer to them, and on the other hand we have sellers, and with a marketplace platform ecosystem that we play the role of in between. I think the model is pretty simple, right? How do we get the right selection? Right, it's subjective because right is wearing the shoe or being in the shoe of the end consumer. So get the right selection at the right value proposition, and value proposition is multidimensional. It's not just about price, it's just about more incentivizations that we can add on to it, right? More promotions, more offers at the right price, and then with the right experience. And experience is also not just about the interface that we give to them to transact upon, but also the fulfillment experience, which is the supply chain network, all of it working almost as a well-oiled coherent machinery, and in a very cost effective manner, right? Because if you are bloated in cost, then you'll not be giving the right value proposition to the end consumers, right? And not give the right business profitability to the to the second player, which is sellers. So all of it is where the model gets tied together through the technology platform. Technology is what makes it a lot more repeatable, sustainable, optimal, reducing cost along the way, and so on, right? So in the nutshell, I think we are delivering a very trusted, frictionless, and a convenient platform for both consumers and sellers, for them to bring the offerings together, from a seller to a consumer in a very, very seamless manner.
Excellent. Can I just say thank you, both of you, so much for a fascinating discussion. I learned a lot today, and folks in the audience, I bet you did as well. Thank you so much to Utkarsh and Vivek from Flipkart and FinServe Markets. And I'll invite you to check out layerzero.co, which is the website that has these amazing new developer tools for speed. And with that, I would like to thank you and wish you a great day. And Pratishta, pass it back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone. That was one insightful session, and I think our audience must have enjoyed thoroughly and gained some valuable insights. I request the panelists to stay back a while as we'll be sharing the certificates as a token of appreciation.
All right.
May I ask my team? Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Charlie Russell, Senior Product Marketing Manager, Limelight Networks. Thank you for joining with us today.
No problem. Love
Thank you, Mr. Vivek Kant, Chief Technology Officer of FinServe Markets. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your valuable time. Thank you, Mr. Utkarsh B, Chief Architect, Flipkart. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for joining with us today.